Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Is it's this holistic definition. It really thinks about the user experience. It thinks specifically about how likely that user is to come back to the product. And through this, how likely the user is to come back and recommend the product to somebody else. Because when you think about all of the investments we can make in technology companies, one of the areas where we can invest is in marketing. One of the areas we could invest is in sales. Another area we could invest is in finance and G&A. And in fact, if you pull up the balance sheet of a lot of the top firms or their P&L statements, you'll see, like an Apple's probably putting, maybe 10% into R&D, Microsoft a little bit more, Google a bit more again, because to this day I don't think Google believes in marketing, perhaps to their credit. And in fact, at our company we have this expression, and the expression is there's two types of people in the company. There are those that write code, and then there's overhead. And if you're writing code, good for you, you're actually adding value. And if you're not writing code, well, gosh, I hope there's not a lot of you because you're overhead. And so I guess I'm technically overhead, which puts me in a slightly precarious position. However, I do actually get in and try to, if not write code, help develop a bunch of the content, and to the extent that the developers will accept any of my check-ins, and sometimes they don't. But the point here being, though, is that perhaps the most significant marketing channel is the most obvious and the one we always overlook, and it's word of mouth, especially in mobile. The testimonial of me pulling out my phone and showing you something on my phone is gigantic. And it's kind of hard to measure, and it's kind of hard to forecast. But if you talk to all of these people that are talking about, well, geez, I built this great new viral marketing channel, it only works if that user wants to recommend the product. And if that user is not recommending the product, you could have the best marketing channel in the world, still doesn't work, right? I could buy Super Bowl ads. I could get all of these people coming into my service, but if they're not using it, if they're not telling their friends they want to use it, in short, if they don't really like the product, you got a little bit of a problem. So let's take our first shot at Google. Google's an online search company based not too far from here. Look at Google TV. So if you looked at the press coming out of the end of the year, they all panned it, and it's not clear whether or not Logitech's going to continue to ship it. I haven't used it. I can be slightly naive about the whole thing, but it's not obvious they built a great product there. It's not obvious out of the gate that they've built a product here that a lot of people are going to recommend to one another. And so I think that trying to think about that product up front and to think about that user experience up front, to think about specifically who is that target user that's going to be using that product up front, and then to specifically ask the question, is that user going to recommend that product to another user? Perhaps these are relevant questions. As it relates to our own internal kind of product greenlighting process, we mandate that. We don't start writing any code until we build a forecast across 4 metrics. And those metrics, daily active users, sales per daily active user, daily user push. These are some of the core metrics we're tracking with respect to these products, and we're actually literally building that forecast in advance and then defending it. And maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong, but that is the discipline. But in addition to that, we say, okay, what's the 20-second YouTube teaser? How do you distill that product down into the essence, and how can you communicate that essence succinctly over, say, a video channel to lots and lots of users? And if we can't convince ourselves that we can do that for 20 seconds or less, it's like maybe we shouldn't build that product. Maybe that product doesn't make sense. If we can do that, then we think we're actually going to drive significant adoption of that product through word of mouth. And for those that are studying viral marketing, a term I hate, that viral coefficient's frankly going to be higher. So we have assets out there that we shipped 2 years ago that are still driving 5,000 to 10,000 downloads a day. And there's a direct correlation literally between those downloads and YouTube views of some of the teasers we launched with the product. And so it comes down to, again, how do you communicate that value proposition? Another test we run for our products is, what's a 20-second demo? Can you get to a use case inside of the products within 20 seconds where I can give you a compelling demo? Yes, no. Yes, no. And so our very first product, which was just a complete toy, the Sonic Lighter, and this is back in the early days of the App Store. And by the way, there were 18 other virtual cigarette lighters that were in the store when we launched. 17 of the 18 free. We were one of the few that actually had the gall to charge $1 for ours, or 99 cents rather. And By the way, we had a great YouTube teaser. We had this kind of man playing with fire primal thing going on with the Liggity soundtrack that we kind of pirated from the 2001 movie. And ultimately, the end of our video, which is only about 30 seconds long, and it's all kind of this dark setting of, you know, dudes playing with a flame on his phone, is he blows it out. And that was our demo. Our demo was you could blow out a flame on your phone by detecting kind of amplitude bursts against the microphone and approximating wind. Great demo. And Gizmodo, you know, one of the online blogs, got their hands on this video teaser when we launched the product, and rightly so, accused us of starting a cult. And it was perhaps the best marketing we could have possibly had. 2 days later, our product's the #1 in virtually every major market on the iTunes App Store.